stretch the rope into the fastening. Leaving it free, we will stretch it again so that we get 2 loops. Now, we will put a rope folded in half into them and tighten it with the free end. As you can see, the knot is very reliable, but it is untied with just one easy movement. Let's take a lace and make first 1 and then 2nd loops on it. Let's put the first loop on the second one in such a way as to combine them into one. Place the loop on a bag and pull on the loose ends. With the help of such a knot, you can easily tie up anything. There's also a second way of tying it. For this, tie the object with the rope cross on cross and put it on one of the free ends under this cross. Pull and you're done. Great for making a broom from dried twigs. In order to fix the hose tightly on the crane, the same knot will fit. We wrap the attachment point cross by cross and push the free end through. Tie it in as tightly as possible. Now the water pressure will definitely not tear the hose from the tap. Let's take a rope without free ends, fold it as follows, and put the resulting loops on top of each other. Let's take these places and combine the loops into one with one deft movement. The resulting knot can be put on the neck of a bottle and then tightened so that the bottle has convenient handles for carrying. As you can see, the knot is very reliable. Wrap the rope around the board 3 times. Move the upper part to the center. And thread form a middle one under the board. We tighten it and our swing mount is ready. Children, we love these homemade swings. Wrap the rope around the wooden stick as follows. Put the resulting loop on the end of the stick and tighten. We repeat this knot several more times to get a rope ladder. Another attraction for children. Very reliable and absolutely safe. Let's take 2 identical ropes. At the end of one, we will make such a loop and put the second rope into it. Wrap the loop around it, and then folding a small loop, we will push it in the following way. Tighten and test. As you can see, the ropes are very firmly connected, but it will also be easy to untie this knot if necessary. If the ropes that need to be fastened are of different thickness, then we make one loop from a thicker one and make a few additional turns with the thin one. Otherwise, these knots are identical, both in binding process and in their strength. It's just as easy to untie it. Instead of a rope, even a rag will do. Just first, push the rope into it. Then make kind of a loop. Repeat previous steps and make sure that even the cloth, this knot manifests itself perfectly. It is perfect for hanging a hammock if it does not have special fasteners, and then easily untie it. Now, we will consider a convenient node for transporting containers. To begin with, place the vessel on the rope, then, having made a regular knot, straighten the loop and lower it into the vessel. Repeat this action again, leaving the loop higher. It holds securely. If there are several vessels, Put one on top of the other and fastens the loop directly under its lid. As you can see, this attachment is suitable for any number of vessels, any volume, and order of fastening. Let's take a long rope with no loose ends, spreading it out in the form of a square. From one of the sides, we will make a loop and then install a bucket on it. Pull the opposite end into the loop and then pull it on the other side. We will stretch the rope into two resulting loops and pull in different directions. Now the bucket has convenient and reliable handles for transportation. This mount is also suitable for hanging flower pots in the garden or at home. Let's take some glass bottles and one rope. We will make such a loop from the rope with two compartments, into which we will insert two bottles respectively. Let's lower the attachment to the base of the bottles and fix it with the regular knot. Now we will wrap the upper part of the bottles with one loop and refasten it with an unusual knot. It remains only to tie a knot at the end to make a convenient handle out of the rope. The bottles are securely held together and now they're much easier to move from place to place. Take a rope and fold it in three and wrap it with the free end several times. We will fix and tighten it so that we have a movable loop, the radius of which is very easy to adjust. She can grab both the neck of a small bottle and a large glass jar. Now, we will show you how to get rid of nodes. We will stretch the rope under the loop on the arm, and then we will push the hand into the resulting loop. Ready? And if these hands are tied together, let's grab the rope with our wrist and push it into the palms. Put one of our hands into the loop, and we are free. Take a rope, stretch over the palm of your hand, and make several loops, laying them along the palm. We will slip the free end under all the loops except the last one. Remove the rope from the hand and begin to tighten smoothly. Thus, the knots on the rope will be equidistant from each other. Once you get used to it, you can do it much faster, and such a rope with knots is ideal for climbing it. Let's take a rope and a shoelace. We will make a loop out of the lace and pull both ends into it, and then tighten the loop again. The fastening turns out to be very strong. If you can't get deeply buried pin out of the ground, then our node will do just for this case. Just repeat the steps described earlier the required number of times, tighten, build the lever to the end of which tie the free end of the rope. A little effort and the pin easily comes out of the ground. And when the job is done, the knot is easily removed and untied. Wrap the rope under the trunk of the tree. Make a loop at the shorter end, stretch it around the long end, and push it into the loop. Tighten it, and adjust the width of the girth. It holds tightly, but if you pull on the short end, it is easily untied. For reliability, we will add another loop and fix the shorter end. We will fix the rope with this knot on the handle of the bucket. At the short end, we will tie our previous knot from the lace. Now, having lowered the bucket down heavily, You can simply pull the cord by untying the rope and pulling it back up. Thus, the process of lowering heavy things from the upper floors will be much faster and easier. Wrap the rope around the tree and then make a loop at the long end, and then another one and stretch it into the first one. We put the short end of the rope into the second loop and tighten it, so we made a bowline knot. It is called the king of knots because it's very reliable, does not form a loop when tightening, and is easy to untie as to tie. Let's take 2 ropes. Make an 8 at the end of one of them. Pull the second rope into these loops in this way and then tighten them. No other nodes will be needed to secure it. The 8th knot will easily withstand any load. To fasten 2 pipes together, we will make such a knot on one of them, then put the second one on top and wrap both ends of it several times with the long end of the rope, the more it turns. The more reliable the fastening will be. On the last turn, we stretch the rope under one of the ends of the upper pipe and wrap it around the attachment point, after which we fix the attachment with 2 ordinary knots. Very reliable and suitable not only for pipes, but also for creating benches in nature. Let's take 2 pipes, fix the rope with a knot on one of them, put the pipes together, and start gradually wrapping them with the long end of the rope. The pipes should be wrapped tightly and evenly. After that, you stretch the end in the space between them and gird the rope attachment. We fasten the ends of the rope, 2 knots, and that's it. With such amount, you can make a fishing spear from an ordinary stick and knife. With it, you can easily catch fish for dinner. If the rope starts to wear off, it can easily be used with the next knot. Fold the rope in half. With the worn segment in the center, turn it twice. Then pull the weak spot inside the center of the resulting loops. Tighten smoothly to prevent the segment from popping out. Now, this rope will be able to serve you for more time. But this node is also suitable for other purposes. Make a loop out of the lace and put a rope on it. Repeat the previously described steps and get a small loop. We will need several of them. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel and do not forget to turn on the alerts. Now we have several such loops along the rope at once. We will bring it to the fire, as you can see. It does not burn, only gradually melts. Then we'll take the ashes and dip the sugar into it. We bring it to the fire again, and this time the sugar starts to burn. Even if you remove it from the candle, the fire does not disappear, and the sugar is covered with the crust and then completely explodes. That's how it was. But sometimes sugar can burn out without exploding. Why do you think it started burning at all? Fill the glass with refined sugar to the top, and then completely immerse in it warm water. After a while, some of the sugar dissolved in the water and some remain lying in the bottom. Now, add a little potassium permanganate to the liquid. As you can see, it stays on the surface without sinking to the sugar at the bottom, even if we start to stir it. In ordinary water, potassium permanganate immediately attends to the bottom and mixes with water. No matter how much we interfere, the result is the same. And after 20 minutes, the liquid turns brown at all. Although half with sugar does not change, let's try adding green dye to one glass and iodine to another. Stir and get the same result as with potassium permanganate. And now there will be a trick. Look carefully. Let's make a number and write it on a sugar cube. We throw it into the water and stir it. Now, hold our hand over the water and the number miraculously appears on the palm of your hand. And here's the secret. We just print a number with the sugar on our finger, and then we put it in the palm of a person. That's all. Let's take a balloon and the funnel. With this help, we will pour sugar inside. Let's take a bottle of soda and pull our balloon on the neck. Try not to spill the sugar. Now we start and watch how the foam and gas quickly fill the ball. Oops! It's not easy to keep it up. Let's try it with other sodas. After all, the most powerful thing came out with cola. But now, we see that balloons inflated with gas stand and on the bottles exactly. Put a wooden board on a baking sheet and pour little sugar on top. Now add dry potassium permanganate to it. We mix these substances with the wooden stick, and then we begin to crush them, turning them into a homogeneous dust. A little more pressure, and a fire breaks out. What a powerful flame! In no case, do not repeat it at home. This is a very dangerous experiment. Let's take some food wrap and make 2 identical squares of it. Pour about 2.5 tablespoons of sugar on each. Add a 1/4 spoonful of starch to one of the squares. Mix and begin to wrap in the bag. We will tie it with the thread several times for reliability. We do the same with the second film, but with the thread of a different color. Cut off the excess and put both bags in a bowl of water for 30 minutes. And then take them out. Now add iodine to the container with water and dissolve it. We will hang our bags over the solution and cover them with the lid. After 12 hours, changes are visible. Pour out the sugar for clarity. With pure sugar, almost nothing happened. But sugar mixed with starch acquired an ashen color. In a bowl, pour a few spoons of powdered sugar, and then add a little soda. Now we pour our sand on a baking tray and pour alcohol on it so that it gets soaked. Pour our mixture on top, level it, and ignite the alcohol. A chemical reaction immediately begins. The mixture begins to turn into a black mushroom-like appendicus, like monsters from TV series of One of Us. It looks creepy, but at the same time, fascinating. And that's what remains in the end. There's a charm in this figure. Let's take sulfuric acid and very carefully begin to impregnate refined sugar with it. Add a little bit and the sugar gradually begins to turn black. Continue until all the sugar turns black. Now we just watch. We see how the liquid begins to flow out of the sugar, and then it begins to deform and grow, faster and faster. Gas is already starting to be released, and the sugar itself seems to be boiling. Finally, the reaction is completed, turning the sugar into a soft, sticky black mass. It's time to conduct a larger experiment. Fill the glass jar with granulated sugar about halfway up, and now let's move on to the most dangerous part. Pour the sulfuric acid inside and start stirring everything as quickly as possible until the reaction begins. Now it only remains to observe from a safe distance. Again, the substance begins to gradually turn black, and then gas and smoke appear, after which a huge black something begins to crawl out. Somewhat resembles a slug from outer space, causes ambiguous emotions. As you can see, the mass has risen much higher than the volume occupied by sugar and acid. Let's take a closer look. Wow, this thing is hot. Break off a piece. As you can see, it crumbles easily in your hands.